Greetings, Legionists, Loyalists, Traitors, Xenos, and other short entities of Warhammer 40k. This is Arndelft. Alright everyone, getting down to business. I've thrown myself back into Eternal Crusade and pushed myself through one excruciating mission after another, till finally I've started to get to the painful hang of the game again. Well, voila, now that I'm here again after all this time, I still hate this game. And I really wish I didn't. Most basic reason for what it could be and what it isn't, and a lot of that has to do with the still constant glitches that have remained throughout the game despite the fact that game developers are still working on and releasing new content. So, my question is, why not devote your resources to fixing the problems with your game instead of trying to release all this new content? Please, just fix these age-old problems. Here are two aiming problems I've been encountering in Eternal Crusade since I started playing, and they still have not been addressed. When I'm aiming at a target, whether it be down sights or scopes, or even sometimes from the hip, there's this most irritating, well, I'm going to call it a glitch, but I have a sneaking feeling it's some sort of aim assist they've programmed in that really doesn't work. And by the way, I hate aim assist, but this one is crap. But gonna call it a glitch. But there's this glitch where I'll be aiming at a target, and without warning, my aiming reticule will suddenly be aiming at something completely different and totally irrelevant. It's not like it actually locks me on to another target. It just simply says, "Oh look, something shiny!" And suddenly, when I fire, I'm not actually shooting the thing I'm aiming at. And I'll look away from the target, and then look back, and it still happens. I don't know what triggers this, but it's driving me insane. Short drive, I know, but I'm tired of taking it. This glitch is not new. It has been around for ages, and I am beyond sick of it. Why has it not yet been addressed? The second one, I'll have a gun, like the Chaos Autocannon, braced against a ledge that I'll be panning around looking for targets. When I spot one, at the edge of my vision, would that be left or right, I turn the gun, let's say all the way to the left, and even though I can see my gun has line of sight, when I start firing shots, to my utter dismay, puzzlement, and irritation, my shots impact on the ledge to my left. Somehow, my rounds, just as they are being fired, teleport directly to my left, impact the ledge next to me, where they then explode, instead of traveling down the barrel of my autocannon and shooting the targets. This glitch has been around for ages and has not yet been addressed. Why? Originally, Eternal Crusade sounded absolutely amazing, and I do mean originally. Way back in the beginning, it was promised that this game would be similar to PlanetSide, in that there would be bases to capture, territory to be gained for your faction, and I do mean faction, not just race. Another promise was that there would be no buy-to-win aspects, aka you would not need money and money alone to get certain pieces of gear and whatnot. Well, and by gear I mean gear that's relevant to actually the game, stat-changing gear, not cosmetic. Well, these and so many other promises were destroyed when management of the still developing game changed hands, and it was claimed that none of these promises were remotely feasible, at least in the near future. So I waited, eager and hopeful, and yet somehow painfully naive. Instead of getting, at any point in all these years, a true move from base to base, much akin to how PlanetSide operates, you have to enter and exit matches continually to ever assault or defend a new base. What's more is territory doesn't matter, it's just a base. Whether you win or lose it has absolutely no bearing on the game. Now I understand that this isn't something that would be easy to achieve, but instead of just trying to release new content, like a possessed marine with a power fist, who doesn't even move as fast as a possessed marine should, why not go after a goal as awesome as making territory relevant? Creating an expansive world where you would move from one base to another, to one fortress to another, where victory and defeat means so much more than a few hundred more bits of requisition and experience. This is seriously an awesome concept I'd love to see in Eternal Crusade. And much to my dismay, I have found certain items in the store that are only available to buy through RTC, and RTC can only be bought with, you guessed it, real money, not the in-game currency. Now, I figured these items would merely be cosmetically different, wouldn't affect actual gameplay, and I'd be perfectly alright with that. But much to my furthering irritation, each one has unique, beneficial stat that are unique to it, and thus can only be acquired through money to the game. And as anyone who knows me, I despise any game that embraces the pay us or be a step behind concept. What is more is that Eternal Crusade developers decided pieces of gear weren't enough either. They decided to make a hero class based solely off buying with real money for Orcs, Chaos, and Space Marines at a price of 25,000 RTC. There is the Legion of the Damned for Space Marines, the Possessed Marine for Chaos, which, by the way, doesn't even look like a Possessed Marine. It looks like he has gunk on his armor. The the Scar Boy Commando for Orcs. As of yet, they haven't made one for Eldar, but I'm sure that'll just take a bit more time. Some might argue, how else are they supposed to make money? My answer is simple. Do what games like Dota 2 do. Make items cosmetically different and cosmetically alone, and then and only then make it so they can only be bought with money. And by the way, Dota 2 makes a ridiculous amount of money off that. There is even a market for it where people buy, trade, and sell different cosmetic items. And the potential with doing that in Eternal Crusade is ludicrous. They have so many different variations of looks for all 4 of the races they've chosen to make playable for people. Anyone with Warhammer 40k at all knows this, so why not? Instead, they've only just barely tapped into this resource, having a very limited amount of cosmetic options for each character. I'm starting to really wonder what the game developers are thinking. Now, I'm back to the same conclusion I came to at the end of my last video. Eternal Crusade will tank unless its developers get their heads in the game and fix their glitches before moving to new content. But if they can please just do this, this game will become so much more playable. And then to boot, when they do move on to new content, please make it something like being able to travel between bases instead of just getting pushed around from one match to another. That would be so awesome. Words nigh on fail to describe it. And please make all war gear that changes stats from their counterparts in any way able to be bought with in-game currency, including your heroes. I'm not saying you shouldn't have an option to buy them with real money, but please don't travel to the road of pay us or else. The only people you are hurting in the end is yourselves. And then tap into the vast cosmetic changes available to you. There are so many. What's more is if you could open up a shop where people could design their own types of war gear and submit it to you like Dota 2 does, it would even take some of the burden off your shoulders. Now, I know all these things take time. I know none of this is readily easy, but the fact is, if you want a lasting game, you've got to suffer the short-term loss to get the long-term gain. And I want Eternal Crusade to succeed. I wouldn't be making this video otherwise. So hopefully soon, very soon, we can start to see the game developers turn around and start patching the holes in their game instead of just trying to push more things into it to try and keep it relevant. Well, thanks everybody very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Disagree? Give me your thoughts. Now, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, please let me know why. And if you're new to the channel and genuinely enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing. Well, don't get into too much trouble or do. It's always up to you. Toodles!